watching some of the couples that I was like, have you recorded yourself dancing and watched it before?
Work on it and keep refining it until it finally clicked, and then you get in the zone of your movement. Like, I've never, since that moment, I've never had another experience like that before where
We've had a lot of, John and I have had these conversations.
psychiatrist or something like
Welcome back.
Hey Melody. Hi John.
Hi, Amanda.
Can you tell from my position that I'm feeling a little bit insecure?
Are you? Are you feeling insecure?
A little bit. No, I'm good
No.
for now. But that is what we're going to talk about today. Insecurities in tango. Well, there was a question that you had. You said also feeling competitive with people of your same
of your same role.
cohort or role. Or,
Yes. Yeah. Because you can feel super secure and then you can go to an event and suddenly you are, what is it? You're a small fish in a big pond, where maybe in your local scene you're a big fish in a small pond. And I had this thought watching the Mundial, which just happened. And I was like, oh, wow, that must be wild for all of these incredible dancers to go to Buenos Aires, to be in this sea of incredible dancers where, like, in your home scene, I'm sure that you're probably the best, if not like one of the absolute best. And then you go to Buenos Aires and it's like, not only are you probably not the best, then you're being ranked on stage. I did have a thought that must shake your security.
Some of the semifinalists, they come directly from being first place winners in their countries.
Yeah.
In their countries.
That's right. And then they might not even make it to the finals. Well, a lot of them don't make it to the finals. Although I also had a thought that I was watching, because I watched all the way from qualifiers as much as I could. I didn't watch all of the qualifiers, but I watched as much as I could. And I definitely did have a thought, like, it costs a lot of money to go there and to like practice and sign up. And I was like, I would never enter, because like I'm not making it. I don't think I'd make it past the qualifiers. I'm like, no, let's be real. And like just watching some of the couples that I was like, have you recorded yourself dancing and watched it before?
Damn.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it. I'm like, no. Let me add one more thing. Let me add one
You're
more
gonna
thing.
give these people more insecurities.
Shots fired.
I'll add one more thing though.
Dang.
Have you ever watched the Mundial? So maybe, and John and I had this conversation where he was like, maybe they do it for the experience.
Yes.
Sure.
A lot of people.
But I'm like, if I enter a competition, it's because I think I can win.
Of course, yes. There was a brief moment in history where I did compete in the U.S. in a competition in one of the early versions of SoCal. And I was like, I'm never doing this. And I don't even remember. Maybe we placed like second or something in waltz and nothing else. But, of course it hurt because you thought you were going to be good enough to win.
Yeah.
But that experience was so invaluable.
Valuable.
Oh, can't I say invaluable?
Well,
Isn't that when it's like really?
it would not. I don't know.
What does that word mean?
And cut.
What does invaluable mean?
We'll be right back. The word invaluable describes something with a value too great to be measured.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So yes,
So invaluable.
Why? Why?
Because that was. It takes so much. You really have to. You grow as a person, but also when we talked, in another episode about dancing with someone and being coordinated with someone, what does that actually mean and what does that look like? And sure, you train with one person to figure out what, based on how the two of you move, your body style, your type, how you listen to the music, how do you coordinate your movement together? But it was like we went back to the basics and we were like, okay, how do we even walk together and to be synchronous? What does that mean? What like, it was like it was so cool because we didn't have like a teacher to tell us this is what you should do. So we had to discover it for ourselves. And every time we met up to practice, it was like this huge learning experience. And then you would work on it and keep refining it until it finally clicked. And then you'd get in the zone of your movement. Like I've never, since that moment, I've never had another experience like that before where I was so focused on like my body with this other person and how we could move together, so that the movement was fluid. It was effortless after a while. Never had that experience again.
Wow.
So it was, I will never regret it. And I
Yeah.
think for some people it's just, you know, to get to even share the ronda with another amazing couple is sometimes just part of like the glory of it. It's like, imagine if you're at a festival and you're sharing like your quarter of the ronda with the maestro. That feeling of excitement of like, oh my God, we're all dancing in the same space right now. Their energy feeds you, you feed into it, and it's just it's very interesting.
Interesting. Okay, I don't know that I feel the same way. Like to me, I guess I feel like it's such a personal thing, like with the person I'm dancing with, that I know, well, even as a leader, actually, I feel like it's just so much the couple. Yes, we're working with the other couples, but I don't want to share the floor with maestros. Like
It's not to say like you want to, but
well,
if you are in that same space, and it's like, or maybe not maestros, but when several dancers of similar caliber are dancing in a row, there's a certain energy that's created from that. Your movements are like, somehow you're all moving and swirling and like not bumping, and there's like this commonality in what you're doing. It's really, it can feel very empowering.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, I've never thought about it that way, and I think I just try to block out. I really no, I really do. Yeah. I try to block out everything because insecurities. I hate when people watch me dance. I understand this has to change. Like I understand it does have to change, but I don't like to be watched because I feel like it's so intimate and personal. And so like when I notice, I feel like the quality of movement changes. I feel like the reason you're dancing changes, your connection with your partner changes. And like we were talking with Reno and Graciela, and we were saying, well, you know, when you perform, do you feel that you dance differently? And they said, like, part of what our job to do is to inspire people. So, like, if let's say John and I are dancing, or anybody else in that milonga and I are dancing, like, I don't feel that my job in that moment is to inspire people, right? Yeah. I feel like my job in that moment is like to be fully present with my partner and the music. And so then, like, to have this other dynamic, I don't know that I'm there or that I want to be there. Maybe some piece of it may be forced to be there because we're teachers and that's part of the job. But like for dancing personally, I don't want it.
Feeling, I will say, it's a slight, I think I think we're talking about two separate things. Dancing and having someone watch is a different thing. And I actually have a very interesting comment to that. Dancing and dancing next to people, you're not watching them, but your peripheral is active because you don't want to bump into people, and so you feel it's more like a sensorial peripheral sense feeling versus like I'm watching them and then I'm doing this thing.
That
so
you're getting into a flow state with
it's
them.
a flow state with the people around you, but the watching thing is very real, right? And I know of an amazing dancer who is a professional. When he wants to dance socially, he'll move inside
because they don't want to be watched,
to not have to be watched, to have a moment of, because they're always being watched, right?
Yeah.
So, insecurities in tango, where are they? What are they? Where do they come from?
How do you get over them?
How do you get over them?
How do you push past them?
I think insecurities in tango are just insecurities in life. So like the same approach that you would take in your day-to-day life to feel more comfortable in your skin, I think that's the same approach you have to take in tango. I wouldn't say it's any
so exposure therapy
different.
I think it needs to be more than exposure. I think that's part of it.
It's mental.
But I think
purely mental.
I think if it's just exposure and that's all you let it be, it becomes kind of just torturing yourself. I think there needs to be some active action on your part to address some of what you're feeling. So, all right, I guess it's my turn to talk. And I only can speak for myself. Like as a introverted and quite shy person, definitely feel a lot of insecurities about tango, about like how well I'm dancing or like
How well your conversating.
sure. Also that, a lot of that. Oh my gosh, there's so much going on. But ultimately, and it didn't really matter, right? Like, it didn't really matter what people were telling me. People like a million people could be lining up and saying, "Hey, like you're doing great, your dancing's great, your cabaseo is great, whatever it is." It wouldn't matter. Like obviously, I like hearing it, but you know, in like it's gonna be at the end of the day like the voice inside my head telling me, and that's like the loudest voice. And I think the only thing that really helps is me choosing action and saying, okay, I'm just going to do this thing. And even though it's difficult, after I do it, I'm like, oh, that was not nearly as bad. That was way easier in practice than it was in my head. And that gives you a boost of confidence, and you move on to the next thing, and you get a little bit of momentum, and then you transition to the next thing that can help do that. So, and we were talking to a friend after a Malanga just recently who
He's a phenomenal dancer. Like,
and
so lovely.
And I never see him out. You know, I just recently, like, I see his wife out. I've only just recently met him, and I've never really shared my own insecurities with anyone. And he started talking about his own insecurities, and I was like, wow, this really resonates with me. Like, this is super relatable. Like, we can have all these excuses, like we can like, oh, you know, life is busy, kids have all these activities and things going on, but at the end of the day, like, we still feel these things, and we can assign blame to these other things, but we still have to take ownership of how we are blocking ourselves. So helps me at least not feel so alone that I'm not the only person feeling these things.
And maybe it'll help before we get any deeper to talk about like what are the types of insecurities we're talking about, so we can sort of level set and maybe like
Sure.
then I think we can talk about how to like potentially get over them, because right now it's a very vague term that we're saying insecurities.
Why won't so and so dance with me? Or why don't people ask me to dance? I think that's a big one, right?
Does that fall under rejection, or is that acceptance or something else? That doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I think like sometimes when
Feeling wanted.
Sure.
Feeling
or desired, or that people seek.
Or maybe just
dance.
I'm not good enough of a dancer to dance with.
That's different. No,
Yeah.
I think that's different.
okay.
I think saying like, so one is like, oh, people want to dance with me. Another insecurity is like, I'm no good.
Not good enough.
I'm not good enough. Like that self-deprecation, right? And maybe that one is more about the way that you approach growth or stagnation. People don't like me. That's an insecurity. I'm not good enough compared to. So this comparison piece, right? That's the changing your pond, or even in your own local scene, things can flux, things can change. You can be a very desirable dancer one day, and then suddenly, or you could just not be getting asked because you're intimidating, but you don't know that, right?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, and okay, we've got to talk. We've got to talk about this.
That's another.
But I will say there is a dancer that I really admire. Has been dancing a really long time. Taught, just beautiful dancer. And I would go to the milonga and I would notice that she sat a lot. And I was like, why is nobody asking her to dance? Because they're intimidated, and that's why. Like that was it. And I know you've gotten that feedback that you are intimidating. And like, how does
So
that's a different thing.
I'm hearing three buckets. I'm sorry, I have to do the consulting thing. I'm hearing three buckets of insecurities. There's the thoughts that we apply to ourselves, the expectations that we set of ourselves, and if we don't meet them, then we feel like we're not worthy enough. There's the expectations that we place on others and that we hope to, like for instance, like the wanting to feel desired and needed. So it's like the source of the insecurity comes from our relationship with the people around us. Maybe that's the third bucket too. The third bucket I was trying to figure out with this like intimidating thing, because who's the one that feels insecure? Is it the person or is it the other?
No,
the
it's
other
both.
people
It's both. Other people feel too insecure to ask
right.
for the person they might actually really want to dance
Right.
with. But then also it can then lead to
That
other
person,
feeling, a person feeling rejected.
Right.
So there's a fear of rejection, I think, is actually a really big insecurity, or isolation, because we want to survive. Like as
Right.
human species, actually being part of a community is like a really strong drive. So we're very sensitive to isolation and rejection. Right. So that's another one.
So maybe we start with the first bucket of
Well,
like
so-
the internal.
Sorry, can I add potentially a bucket?
Oh, please. It has to be Misi though.
It has to be what?
Misi.
What is that?
What's Misi?
Y'all, I'm so stupid.
Is this some consulting thing?
It is. It has to be mutually exclusive and and comprehensively exhaustive. So basically, they can't overlap,
Got
and
it.
it needs
Okay,
to be
okay.
representative of all the options.
Okay.
What about, so it's nothing actually to do with your own like tango skill, but it's like I'm too awkward.
Well,
There's
I think that falls in
expectations
the
you put-
first
that's the first
bucket. That
Yeah,
falls in
okay,
the first
okay.
bucket.
Well,
Yeah.
let's touch on that.
Yeah.
So we've described feelings such as I am not a good enough dancer. Maybe I've tried, I've done all the classes, I've done all the privates, maybe I've even been to Buenos Aires. I still don't feel like I'm growing as a dancer. I feel like I'm too awkward to engage in this space. Me, I. So the question then becomes, if those are if for those sets of insecurities, how do you even start to like address them and acknowledge them? Acknowledge and then address
There's a
them.
phrase for them.
Ooh.
Automatic or automated negative thoughts.
Ooh.
Ants. So our brain produces negative thoughts as like in the same way that our bones produce marrow. Like that is the side effect of our brain. It's not necessarily actually our unconsciousness. So there's a system, there's a process of saying, okay, you have to recognize first that you're feeling this. Then you have to say, is this the truth? Right? Do I know this to be verifiably true? Which it's like this, obviously this is not something that you can, or you're going to go around and poll everybody. Are you not dancing with me because I'm horrible?
Right.
Like
You have to find
right,
trusted
okay.
sources and
Sure. So maybe you can solicit some feedback, but also, is there a possibility that this is not true, or is there something that you can do? And if you know that there's a possibility this isn't true, you don't have to believe that thought. It's just a thought, right?
so there's two branches then, right? Let's say that somehow you've managed to verify. Maybe you spoke to a confidential person and confidant, and they said, to be honest, your dancing could use some work, even though you've done a lot of stuff, right? How do you fix that insecurity, right? Like you've already been taking the classes, you've already been practicing, you've already been doing the things.
Well, do you fix the insecurity or do you work on the skill? Like they're two different things. So I think like a maestro, a private lesson is an appropriate place to address this, to say like, I am feeling this type of way. This is an expert, right? They can help you. They can help you address the things because they can tell you what you feel like. And this is one of the hardest parts about tango is we don't know what we feel like. There is no way for us to know what we feel like to the other person.
Sometimes people describe it, I'm like, really? That's what it feels like?
Yeah, like we can't know.
I slightly disagree. I think a more accessible route is to find the dancers within my community that I really admire and would love to dance with because I think they're great or whatever. And I'd ask them what they look for in a partner when they dance with a partner. And then I evaluate whether or not that's something that I would even like to achieve, and B, then figure out how to achieve that. I think if we ask a maestro, you'll get good feedback on just general things to improve, but it may not help you get the dances that you want to get, right? So if you start first with like, these are the targets, types of people and ways of moving that I want to be like you need to have like I think a little bit more of a concrete goal of what you're trying to accomplish. If we're working on ourselves, right? Not the other side of fixing the insecurity. That gives you a little bit more of a tangible thing, and then it becomes less of a guesswork and connecting both with the leaders and the followers who you feel like are within that bucket of that realm of the way you would like to move and feel and be felt. And then I have something very tangible to work towards, and I can be like, does it feel like this now? Does it feel like that now? But I feel like if I just go to a teacher and be like, hey, like the teacher will tell me what they feel, which would be great, but maybe the dancers in my community don't even care about that anyway.
Interesting. Okay, so I wanna pause and rewind a tiny bit though, because I think we have to be really careful. If you're soliciting feedback, and you're
not about your dance,
no, but just generally about the way you feel, you solicit feedback.
Not about you.
About the way you feel.
No.
As a dancer.
No.
So
okay.
Can we disentangle the insecurity and the level of skill are not always going to be the same thing. You can carry this insecurity with 25 years of experience and being an incredible dancer, right? And it's always relative. So if you are feeling insecure and you go and you dance with somebody who's been dancing for 2 months, they're probably going to be like, amazing. That was the best dance of my life, right? But if you go dance with somebody that maybe you just communicate differently, maybe you learned from 2 different maestros and the foundation of your tango are like different dialects, they're going to tell you that you got to work on things.
Right, but I'm not saying to ask for feedback on how you dance. I'm asking, so the difference there is let's say there's 4 people on the dance floor that I enjoy watching. I'm going to ask them, what do they enjoy about the dance? What do they like in their partner? What do they do? What do they prioritize? If those are the things that I agree with, then that becomes a new goal that I try to achieve. That puts me closer to being able to dance with those people. Thereby, we're talking about if you wanted to fix less, I think this also can go towards helping to fix your own insecurity, because a lot of it I think comes from like just vagueness of not knowing why, right? So if I don't know why I'm not good enough, I become very insecure. But if I find out that it's because the people that I want to dance with actually really prefer this very specific way of dancing, I never even realized that was even a thing. Now I can say, oh, actually, I don't really care to dance like that. So actually now I don't feel so insecure that you're not asking me. Or I could say, oh, I would love to explore that because I think that matches my style. And now I want to dance with you. So it's less about asking for feedback on me. Like this actually happened with a very good friend of mine where we dance a lot. And I think we used to dance a lot more when we saw each other. And there was a moment where he was like, I feel like you're not enjoying it as much, right? And I was like, to be honest, I've sort of moved towards a slightly different I prioritize different things in my dance that I know you don't prioritize. I would never ask you to change it. So I don't always like actively look for you. And they were like, well, what is it? And so I explained to them what I liked. And because they were very interested in exploring that, they're like, okay, cool. I'll look into that and see like what I could do. They were just purely from like a scientific point of view, trying to like explore different ways to vary their lead. And then they did, and then they worked on it. And then when we danced, I was like, oh my God, this is like already closer to what I like, right? So now there's less insecurity from that person about whether or not I'm avoiding them or not. Now they know it's because I like something very specific. They know they can turn it on if they want, and if they don't want, they can turn it off. But it kind of like reduced some of that like confusion around, am I good enough? It wasn't that you weren't good enough, because sometimes you find out it's not that you're not good enough. You're just speaking a different, you're just speaking a different dialect. And that can help, I think, to reduce some of the anxiety, because when you have like a root cause of why you think you're not dancing well, or why you think, I guess maybe I'm mixing it a little bit with like why you think your dance is not good enough for the person you want to dance with. It's like revealing the boogeyman from underneath the bed, right? You no longer, it's not this obscure thing that you're guessing at, and then it becomes worse when you mentally create the ants in your head or whatever.
Well, no, when you validate the ants, because the ants are going to happen.
Oh, okay.
They happen. And so I think I reject a little bit of the premise.
Okay.
Because I think that like there just are some thoughts that are not valid. I think there are some thoughts that we do not have to give weight to, but we believe as a default state that whatever is going through our brain is truth, right? So if we're like showing up in a space and we're not feeling secure, chances are if we're not feeling secure, we're kind of sitting here like this, and we're like, and we've got some downward facing angles with our eyes.
What did she say?
Resting faces.
No, what did she say? She says resting.
Are you talking about Vanessa
face?
Van
No,
Edwards?
no, Vanessa Van Edwards. What
Yeah,
does she say?
resting. She doesn't say resting mean face or something.
No,
like
she
that.
says resting. It's still B, but it's a different word.
Whatever it is, it's indicating that you are not happy in this scenario, right? Our body language is saying it anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that the thoughts that are going through our brain that are telling us, like I've had dancers come into the space that have been dancing for like 15 years that are lovely, and within 5 minutes they'll say, "Oh, I'm not a very good dancer," right? That's not a validated thought. That's something that they're creating in their own head. And I had a conversation with, maybe this is a little more to the second insecurity.
I will say really quickly, I think we are actually agreeing. I was talking about the branch of once you validated it and you know that it's you, how can you address it? But there's a second branch where it's like, it's probably really not a validated. It's not validated.
Yes. Okay.
And it's a made up construct
it's that you're doing
need to
it yourself.
So now how do you adjust that?
Okay, so you address it by questioning the truth, right? There's this idea that ultimately who we actually are is the person observing that thought, and so if you can tune more into that. We've had a lot of, John and I have had these conversations.
Psychiatrist or something?
No, I've done a lot of reading about happiness. Ultimately, because anything that changes, anything changeable is not us, right? Those insecurities are changeable. Okay. And so people, like if you go through intensive therapy programs, a lot of it is only about identifying those thoughts and questioning them and breaking them. So there's one tactic, which is like take opposite action. If your insecure thoughts are kind of prompting you to be shy and sink, then no, you become more outward, make yourself more open, right? I think if it is that you're feeling and you're like, oh, maybe you feel validity in this thought, then it's a practica. You go to the practica. But also, we had this conversation about rejection, right? It's almost always about the person doing the rejecting, not about the person being rejected, right? Like,
it's hard to get rid of that mindset.
I have a hard time dancing with short people. There's a whole slew of people that I just don't ever look at. It has nothing to do with the way they dance. They may be the most amazing dancer in the world, and still I feel uncomfortable, right? So, and it's not an insecurity. It's just like, I just know this. It's not going to be as enjoyable for me. So I'm not, and I hope it doesn't make them feel insecure. But that was me, not them, right? So understanding that we're all mostly thinking about ourselves, but also that those thoughts are just a byproduct of our brain.
Yeah.
So that's what you do.
I want to remind yourself that.
Well, there's an anecdote. So we were talking to a very experienced, like incredible dancer, who was saying that they went to a marathon, and they went specifically because they were close friends with the organizer, and like this is like hands down one of the best dancers in the place, and the organizer was organizing and working and didn't dance with them the whole time, and so they were a little down. But then multiple events they went to and weren't able to dance with the best dancers because they were busy and things just didn't line up. And they said that there was like a deep sadness, like a deep, like, I've worked so long for decades on this dance to be a great dancer, and I still can't get the dances. So like even at that level, and we think at like year 2, we're like, oh, like, okay, I just got to keep growing. But like you can carry this through all of your journey of tango. So yes.
Interesting. I think I've used this technique a lot. When it feels like I can't do this, then I go try to do the thing. It's like, I was like, I'm not smart enough yet to be an engineer. So I try to go study more and get my doctorate. And I'm like, I'm not smart to do this thing in academia. So then when I did this thing in like business, because I felt like I wasn't like well-rounded enough. To what you said about your friend, the only thing that and purely just for like just sharing experiences, I throw myself a lot into very random crowds in around the world, entering spaces that I know nobody in the room. And I think part of the game, especially if you've been dancing for a very long time, is you all know that if you haven't been seen yet, even if you're an amazing dancer, if you haven't been seen yet, nobody will know. And if nobody knows you, you don't. And so you kind of have to, like, I think of it as like Mortal Kombat. You have to work your way up the tier, right? So you have to be open to taking the dances that are more accessible to you in that moment, because there's always going to be leaders that are asking for someone to dance. And then you slowly work you, and then so people start to see you moving, and then you jump up to the next tier, and then so it's not like just because you're a really good dancer, you show up, people are gonna know that you're a good dancer. And I think it's a really good practice to stay humble, because oh man, when you are a big fish in a small pond and you jump to a big pond, how do you navigate that? You need to slowly start to build your connections from the ground up and get to know the people that's more near you, accessible to you, be friends with them, laughing, joking, and then you get invited to dance. And now you're moving and people are like, oh my God, and did you meet this? Because those people might know they're really good dancers. Then they go introduce you. I mean, I'm just not fixing anybody's insecurities today, but some of that, when we do show up and we feel insecure about not getting dances, it's like you might need to work the room a little bit more sometimes. Sorry, sidebar.
Okay, so we covered the is it me?
Is it me?
Yeah, okay.
And if it's the other, why, what's the other one? They are not liking me. So I know I'm good, but why am I still not being seen?
Yeah. Okay. I think that one again, they're thinking about themselves. Like, we have to realize a little bit of human psychology. Like, people they're not thinking about me, they're thinking about themselves, right? They're thinking about maybe they're a bunch of friends that they wanted to meet, and like the best thing that we can do is be social in the social dance setting, right? And not social with like, I talked to you, now you got to dance with me, but like just a genuine curiosity about people, right? Turning and being like, hey, we haven't met. I'm Melody.
I think this will forever be a problem because we don't have the context of truly social dancing outside of certain communities such as Buenos Aires, and I'm guessing in Turkey and Korea and some other countries around the world. Yes, those are countries. Okay, except for BA. And it's that we learn it as a dance first, and then we get taught how to socialize. So it feels very artificial. A lot of people are like, why do I need to talk and socialize just to get a dance? And John, we gotta wrap it up already. And that feeds into a lot of insecurity. When that's like already the wrong question to be asking. It's I think the question should be more like, oh, who are the people in the room that I'd like to get to know more? Like, it's hard to explain, because if you've learned it as a dance, it's hard to work yourself backwards and understand it as a social construct first before it's even a dance.
So I think you guys are making great points, but looking at the clock, I think we're at time, but I don't want to cut you guys off from this conversation. I think this is super interesting. So I'm going to say this is part 1. We'll do a part 2 next week. Viewers, listeners, tune in, okay? Like and subscribe to be notified when that drops. Get in the comments and let us know about your own insecurities and you know, how you dealt with them. And you know, we'll catch up next week.
And we'll see you then.
Producer John has spoken.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Staying Grounded. If you like this episode, please subscribe and give us a like. We would love to hear from you in the comments, and we'll see you next time.